Welcome to 7 days of land flipping. This is part 6, where we're talking about how to create those listings and sell those properties. If you haven't watched part 1 through 5, make sure you click right here on the link and it brings you right back to the beginning where you want to start, because all these videos are all building on top of each other. We covered everything from A to Z, how to get the counties, how to select the areas, how to get the deals, how to get the list, how to contact the owners, how to make the offers, how to value the properties. And now you send out these offers and guess what? You go to the mailbox, you open the mailbox, and there is an accepted offer inside, or perhaps even 3 or 5, right? Because as I mentioned, we have students that 3 months working with us, they got 45 accepted offers. This is like blowing everyone's mind, but it is because this is an almost competition-free area. But now let's say you have this deal accepted. You have it signed, you countersign it, and now what do you do? Well, very simply, you do 2 things. Number 1, you send it to a title company. To the title company in the county or in the state where the property is located in, and you open escrow. So the title company is going to go through their motions now, and they're going to go figure out if this property has any liens on it, and if there's an easy close or a difficult close. But in the meantime, what you now do is you create the listing. Now here's how we sell these properties. We actually don't hire realtors. You can, but sometimes we do for high-end properties. But mostly the way we sell these properties is by actually putting them on social media. Now where do we sell them? Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, those kind of places. They're 100% free. You can even sell properties on eBay. And here's how you list these properties. First of all, what you really gotta think about is land flipping and selling a piece of land is substantially, fundamentally different than selling a house. With a house, it's very simple. Bring in a photographer, take some beautiful sunset pictures of the house, lights it beautiful, looks great, everything looks exactly like you want it. Of course, there's work involved. I'm not dissing the real estate agents. The best ones do a tremendous amount of work to make their properties look really, really good. But in essence, it's all done by showcasing the property. Now in land, it's much harder to do. Sometimes in houses, you stage the property and they make it look like a family already lives there, and that helps the potential buyer visualize how they could live on the property. Now in land, you can't do that. You can't stage a piece of land. You can't put the living room on the land, right? You can't take some pictures of it, but again, we don't see those properties, we don't visit those properties, so we don't do that. So what you need to do instead is you need to tell a story that appeals to your perfect buyer. So what we do is we actually realize, and I want you to realize, that you're actually not selling the land. What you're doing is you're selling the dream of what a potential buyer wants to do with the land. That's a very, very important distinction. So for example, let's look at the different kinds of properties we focus on. The infill lot is attractive to the builder. Now the builder is the most transactional of all of them. The builder knows his area, knows the values. The builder just drives by, sees the property, says, yep, it works, and he makes you an offer and he buys the property. But the moment we go into the more B2C kind of area, where our end buyer is an average, normal person who wants this piece of land to fulfill a dream, that's where this comes in. So for example, let's look at the future retiree. Does the future retiree really care if this property has 5 trees, 8 trees, or 17 trees on it? No. What he cares about is there enough space for me to build on? Is there utilities to the property? Where's the next grocery store? Where's the next doctor? Am I going to be in the middle of nowhere, or am I actually close to civilization and fun? So therefore, when you sell to a future retiree, what you're telling him is about, hey, you're only 20 minutes away from the city. This property has water, sewer, and electricity. It is only 5 minutes away from XYZ little town that has a grocery store, a Starbucks. So now what the retiree in his mind is doing is checking off boxes, because he's thinking about what I need is a lot that is large enough for me to put a house on it or a mobile home on it, that has utilities, check, that is large enough, check, that is not too far away from amenities, check, 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 and that I'm back in town within ideally like 20-30 minutes, check. All things are checked. Now, it doesn't matter how that lot even looks like. That retiree is now interested in that property, and that retiree is going to pick up the phone, call you, and say like, hey, I read about your property. It checks all my boxes. Can I go see it? It's like, yeah, absolutely. You give him the address or the GPS coordinates to the property, and he drives himself there, looks at the property, calls you back and says, it's ideal. I love it. What do I need to buy it? Boom. Property sold. Compare that to what the average realtor does. The average realtor puts an aerial picture from Google up there and says this property is ready to be built, puts it up on Zillow, does nothing, doesn't even respond to inquiries, and absolutely nothing happens. Sometimes we go on Zillow and we look at properties that have been sitting there for 2 years and we make a lowball offer, we get it, we just redo the listing, we put it right up on Zillow, and we sell it 2 weeks later for twice as much as they had even listed it. Why? Because the listing makes it stand out head and shoulders above everything else. Now let's go on. The same thing for the COVID buyer. The COVID buyer wants a place, 5 acres, 10 acres. They're working remotely. They're working from home. They want to know the same exact things. They want to be close to the city, not in the city. They want to have space. They want to do things. The recreational buyer doesn't care about utilities. He wants to be away from it all. He wants to have fun. He wants to bonfire. But even they care about what is there. Is there hiking? Can I hunt there? Is there elk there? Is there a lake there? Can I go swim there? Can I go boat there? Can I have fun there? Where's the next little town? Because even if they spend a week there, after a few days of barbecuing or doing bonfires, they probably want to go into town and have a nice steak somewhere. The listing itself is designed such that you tell that story in a certain way, that you tell the story in a sequential way that grabs their attention, raises their interest, then makes them really desire the property, and then makes it easy for them to take action. All right, that's how we list these properties. And the nice part is that you can list these properties for free almost everywhere. Like Facebook Marketplace is 100% free. Facebook groups, there's groups about real estate and buy and sell groups all over the country in every single market. And then of course, if it's a higher price property, you can also hire a realtor to list it for you. All right, so that's what you do. Now the last step that's missing, guys, is now once you have a buyer, you sign the contract, you give the contract to the title company does all the last steps, and you now flip that deal and you make money in the process. But there's one step missing, and that is how do you do these deals without actually using any of your money? You have the deal, you have the buyer wants to buy it, you have it under contract for $20,000, the buyer wants to buy it for $50,000. How do you realize those $30,000 without using a penny of your own money? That's actually probably the most exciting of all these 7 videos. So just click right here, next door, right to me, click on it, see you there.